A day after we moved into the new apartment, my previous owner called and said, "I forgot to turn off the hidden camera and saw what your daughter-in-law did while you were away. You need to come over immediately alone, and do not tell her anything." Before we continue, this fictionalized case study is based on documented elder financial exploitation cases. According to the National Council on Aging, 1 in 10 Americans over 60 experiences elder abuse, with family members responsible for 90% of financial exploitation cases. This examines warning signs of identity theft by family caregivers and why illegal surveillance evidence requires proper legal investigation. Now let me tell you my story. My phone rang at exactly 10:15 in the morning the day after I'd moved into my new apartment. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered anyway. "Mrs. Hayes, this is Bernard Shaw. I need you to come to my house immediately. It's urgent." Bernard Shaw was the previous owner of my apartment building. A nice man, about 62, who'd sold the building last month to a property management company. I'd rented from him for years before buying my own house, and when my husband died 2 years ago and I decided to downsize, Bernard had personally helped me find this ground floor apartment. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Is there a problem with the apartment?" I forgot to disconnect the security camera I had installed in that unit. I was reviewing footage to make sure everything was properly turned off, and I saw something concerning. My stomach tightened. "What did you see?" "I saw what your daughter-in-law did while you were out yesterday. You need to see this footage, Mrs. Hayes. But you need to come alone. Do not tell her you're coming. Do not tell her I called." I gripped the phone tighter. "Bernard, what are you talking about? Just come. I'm texting you my address right now. This is serious. Come alone." The line went dead. I sat on my new couch staring at my phone as the text message came through with Bernard's address. What could Shanice have done? My daughter-in-law had helped me move in yesterday. She'd been wonderful, actually. Unpacking boxes, organizing my kitchen, making sure I was settled. When I'd left to go grocery shopping around 2 o'clock, she'd stayed behind to finish arranging the living room. She'd been gone when I got back an hour later. Everything looked perfect. She'd even left a note. "All done. Call if you need anything. Love, Shanice." Maybe she'd broken something and Bernard saw it on camera. But why the secrecy? Why the urgency? I walked into the kitchen where Shanice was currently making us lunch. She'd shown up this morning with groceries, insisting on cooking for me. "I need to run an errand," I said. "Be back in an hour." Shanice looked up from chopping vegetables. "Want me to come with you?" "Where are you going?" "Just need to pick something up. I'll be fine." She studied my face for a moment, something flickering in her eyes. "You sure? I don't mind driving you. I'm 68, not 98. I can drive myself to the store." "Okay, Mom." She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Be careful." I grabbed my purse and keys, feeling her watching me as I left. Bernard's house was about 20 minutes away in a quiet neighborhood of older homes with big oak trees. He answered the door before I could knock, as if he'd been watching for me. "Thank you for coming." His face was serious, worried in a way I'd never seen before. "I'm sorry to alarm you, but you need to see this." He led me through his house to a home office filled with computer equipment, multiple monitors, cables everywhere, hard drives stacked on shelves. I installed security cameras in several units after we had break-ins a few years ago, he explained, sitting down at his desk. "When I sold the building, I was supposed to disconnect everything. I thought I had, but last night I was going through old footage to delete it all properly, and I realized the camera in your unit was still recording." He pulled up a video file on his screen. "I saw this and knew I had to call you immediately." He pressed play. The footage showed my new living room from a high angle, probably a camera hidden in a smoke detector or air vent. The timestamp read, yesterday 2:15 p.m., about 30 minutes after I'd left for the grocery store. Shanice was alone in my apartment. I watched her walk into the frame, look around as if checking to make sure she was alone, then go directly to the coffee table where I'd left my purse. She opened it and pulled out my wallet. My heart started pounding. On screen, Shanice laid my wallet on the coffee table and pulled out her phone. She removed my credit cards one by one, photographing the front and back of each card. My Visa, my MasterCard, my bank debit card. She photographed my driver's license, holding it up to get a clear shot. She found my checkbook and photographed several blank checks. Then she put everything back in my wallet exactly as she'd found it. "What is she doing?" I whispered. Bernard didn't answer. "Just let the video play." Shanice stood up and walked out of frame toward my bedroom. The camera angle didn't show the bedroom, but I could see her return a minute later carrying something. My wooden document box. My late husband Thomas had given me that box 30 years ago. I kept all my important papers in it. Birth certificate, social security card, marriage certificate, the deed to my old house that we just sold 3 months ago. I watched Shani sit on my new couch and open the box. She went through every document slowly, methodically photographing each one with her phone. My birth certificate, front and back. My social security card, the deed to the house Thomas and I had owned for 40 years. My marriage certificate, my husband's death certificate, bank statements I'd saved, investment account statements, everything. She photographed it all. Then she pulled out her phone and made a call. There was no audio on the footage, but I could see her talking, gesturing with her free hand. She was animated, excited, smiling. After about 10 minutes she ended the call. She put all the documents back in the box exactly as they'd been, returned the box to my bedroom, and sat back down on the couch. She scrolled on her phone for a while, waiting. At 3:05 p.m. I could see the timestamp. She stood up, checked the apartment one more time to make sure everything looked untouched, and left. I came home 5 minutes later. I'd never suspected a thing. The video ended. I sat in Bernard's office, unable to speak. "There's more," Bernard said quietly. "This morning." He pulled up another file. Timestamp this morning, 9:00 a.m. I'd gone to a doctor's appointment. Shanice knew because I'd told her yesterday. She'd offered to drive me, but I'd insisted I was fine on my own. The footage showed Shanice letting herself into my apartment with the key I'd given her for emergencies. This time she went straight for my mail, which was sitting on the kitchen counter. I'd brought it up from the mailbox but hadn't opened it yet. Shanice opened each envelope carefully. A letter from my bank. One from Social Security. A credit card offer. She photographed the contents of each one, then sealed them back up and arranged them exactly as I'd left them. Then she went to my bedroom again, came back with a folder. My stomach dropped. I knew that folder. It contained copies of important documents: my will, my insurance policies, the sales contract from when we'd sold our house. Shanice sat on the couch and opened the folder, but she didn't photograph these documents. Instead, she pulled out what looked like blank paper and a pen, and she started writing. I leaned closer to Bernard's monitor. She was writing my name, Dorothy Hayes, over and over. She'd compare what she wrote to my actual signature on a document from the folder. Then she'd try again, and again, practicing my signature, trying to forge it. After filling an entire page with practice signatures, she seemed satisfied. She made another phone call, laughing and looking pleased with herself. Then she put everything away, checked that the apartment looked undisturbed, and left. The timestamp showed she left at 9:47 a.m. I came home at 10:05. Again, I'd noticed nothing. The video ended. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight. "She's forging my signature," I finally managed to say. Why would she do that?" Bernard turned in his chair to face me. "Mrs. Hayes, I think your daughter-in-law is planning something. Something very bad. I need to tell you something important," he continued. "I shouldn't have this footage. The cameras weren't disclosed when you signed your rental agreement. North Carolina is a two-party consent state for surveillance. Legally, this is a privacy violation. I could get in serious trouble for recording in your home without your knowledge. But I couldn't just delete this without warning you. Whatever Shanice is planning, photographing your identity documents, practicing your signature, it's criminal. I just don't know if this footage can be used as evidence." My hands were shaking. "We need to call the police. Show them what she's doing. It's not that simple." Bernard's expression was pained. "This footage was obtained illegally. It might not be admissible in court. In fact, it almost certainly isn't. But it shows her committing crimes." "I know. But a defense lawyer would argue it's fruit of the poisonous tree, illegally obtained evidence that should be thrown out. And they'd be right. Then what do we do?" Bernard stood up and pulled a business card from his desk drawer. "You need a lawyer who knows how to handle this. Someone who specializes in elder law and financial exploitation." He handed me the card. "Alicia Montgomery. She's the best elder law attorney in Durham. She'll know how to proceed." "Can I have a copy of this footage?" I asked. "I'll give you a USB drive with everything. But understand, we can't walk into court and show this to a judge. It's illegally obtained. However," he added carefully, "if your lawyer knows what crimes to investigate, she can find legal evidence of the same things. This footage tells us what Shanice has done. Now we need to prove it in ways that will hold up in court." He copied the files to a USB drive and handed it to me. My hands were still shaking as I took it. "Mrs. Hayes," Bernard said as I stood to leave. "Be very careful around your daughter-in-law until you know what she's planning, and don't tell her about this footage. Don't tell her I called. Don't let her know you suspect anything. What if she's already done something? Used my information? That's why you need to see that lawyer today. Right now." I drove straight to Alicia Montgomery's office. She was a black woman about 50 years old with close-cropped natural hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. Her office walls were covered with framed certificates and awards related to elder law and advocacy. I told her everything. About Shanice helping me move. About Bernard's call. About the footage. She watched the videos on the USB drive without saying a word, taking notes on a legal pad. When the footage ended, she looked at me seriously. "Your daughter-in-law is planning identity theft at minimum. The photographing of your credit cards, driver's license and social security card, that's everything someone needs to open accounts in your name. The signature practice is even more concerning. She's planning to forge documents, possibly financial documents like loan applications or account access forms. Can we use this footage to stop her?" I asked desperately. "No." Alicia's voice was firm. "The footage itself is inadmissible. It was recorded without your knowledge or consent in your home. Bernard violated North Carolina's two-party consent law for surveillance. If we try to present this in court, it'll be thrown out, and Bernard could face criminal charges." My hope deflated. "But," Alicia continued, "what this footage shows us is invaluable. We know what to look for now. We know what crime she's likely committed or is planning to commit." She started making a list on her legal pad. "We need to check if she's already opened credit card accounts in your name. Applied for loans. Filed fraudulent legal documents. Made changes to your will or attempted to create a power of attorney." "I don't have a power of attorney," I said. "My husband and I always kept our finances completely separate from Kenneth. That was our rule." "Good. But let's make sure Shanice hasn't created one fraudulently. If she's practicing your signature, there's a reason." Alicia picked up her phone and started making calls. First to the three major credit reporting agencies, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. She requested my credit reports to check for unauthorized accounts. Then to the Durham County Clerk's office to see if any legal documents had been filed in my name recently. Then to my bank, to verify there'd been no unusual activity or changes to my account ownership. "This will take a day or two," she said after hanging up. "But we should have answers soon. What do I do in the meantime?" "Act normal around Shanice. Don't let her know you suspect anything. And under no circumstances should you confront her about this footage. We can't legally acknowledge it exists. But if she's already stolen from me, then we'll catch her, but we have to do it the right way. With legal evidence. Can you do that? Can you pretend everything is normal?" I thought about Shanice in my kitchen right now, making me lunch, probably waiting for me to come home. I can try. 2 days later, Alicia called me. "We need to meet, right now. Come to my office." Her voice told me it was bad. When I arrived, she had documents spread across her desk. Bank statements. Credit reports. Court filings. "Sit down, Dorothy," she said gently. I sat. "Your daughter-in-law has been very busy. In the past 6 weeks she's opened 3 credit cards in your name." She showed me the statements. Cards I'd never applied for, never seen, never used. Total credit limit across all 3 cards, $45,000. She's maxed out all of them. I stared at the purchases. Designer clothes from Nordstrom and Neiman Marcus. Jewelry. A used BMW from a car dealership in Raleigh. Cash advances totaling $15,000. How did she get these cards without me knowing? The bills go to a P.O. box she controls. She opened it using your driver's license information, which she photographed from your wallet. Alicia pulled out more documents. She also opened a personal loan in your name for $25,000. What? My voice came out as a whisper. The loan proceeds went into a joint bank account she opened in your name and hers. Forged your signature on the account opening documents. All $25,000 has been withdrawn. It's gone. I felt dizzy. $70,000 gone. There's more? Alicia said quietly. She filed paperwork attempting to transfer the proceeds from the sale of your old house into that joint account. My house, the house Thomas and I had lived in for 40 years. We'd sold it 3 months ago for $280,000. The money was in escrow, waiting to be distributed to me. She tried to steal $280,000? I could barely process it. The transfer was rejected because the house had already been sold and the proceeds were in escrow with specific distribution instructions. But she tried. Alicia leaned forward, her expression serious. Dorothy, your daughter-in-law has committed multiple felonies: identity theft, wire fraud, forgery, financial exploitation of an elderly person. The total attempted or completed fraud is approximately $350,000. I couldn't speak. But here's our problem. We can't prove any of this using Bernard's footage. We need independent evidence gathered through legal means. How do we do that? We already are. Everything I just showed you, the credit reports, bank statements, forged signatures, this is all legal evidence. The credit card companies provided copies of the applications showing forged signatures. The bank provided documents showing the fraudulent account. The county clerk provided the attempted deed transfer. But won't she just claim I authorized her, that I asked for her help? That's where we need to be strategic. First, you need to leave that apartment. Today, get away from Shanice before she realizes we're onto her. Where do I go? Do you have family or friends? She doesn't know well. Someone you can trust completely. I thought for a moment. My sister Beatrice. She lives about an hour away in Chapel Hill. Shanice has only met her once, years ago at Thomas's funeral. She wouldn't think to look for me there. Perfect. Pack essentials while Shanice isn't around. Leave everything else, we'll get it later. Don't tell her you're leaving. Don't tell her where you're going. Just disappear. But she has a key to my apartment. Let her. Once you're safely away, we file a police report, and I start building the formal legal case. But I need you somewhere she can't access you, can't manipulate you, can't try to convince you this is all a misunderstanding. That afternoon, I texted Shanice that I was feeling tired and needed to rest, asked her not to come by. She responded immediately, of course mom. Get some sleep. I'll check on you tomorrow. As soon as I knew she wouldn't be coming over, I started packing 2 suitcases of clothes, my medications, the wooden box with my important documents, my laptop, photos of Thomas. I called my sister Beatrice. Bea, I need to stay with you for a while. Shanice has been stealing from me. I can't explain everything right now, but I need to leave Durham today. Come right now, Beatrice said without hesitation. I'll make up the guest room. How long do you need to stay? I don't know, maybe a week, maybe longer. Stay as long as you need. You're always welcome here. I loaded my car and took one last look at my new apartment. I'd been so excited to move here just 2 days ago. Now it felt tainted, violated. I drove to Chapel Hill, to Beatrice's small house near the university. Once I was safely inside, I called Bernard. I'm out. I'm safe. Thank you for warning me. What happens now? He asked. My lawyer is building a legal case. We're not using your footage, too risky, but it showed us what to investigate. Good. I was terrified I'd made things worse by recording illegally. You saved me, Bernard. If you hadn't seen that footage, I never would have known what she was planning. Then I waited. Shanice called at exactly 6 o'clock. Mom, where are you? I came by to make you dinner and you're not here. Your car's gone. What's going on? I followed Alicia's script. I decided to visit my sister for a few days. Needed some time with family. Pause. Which sister? Beatrice. Yes. Why didn't you tell me you were leaving? I would have driven you. It was last minute. I'll be back next week. But Mom, you just moved into that apartment 2 days ago. What about finishing unpacking? What about getting settled? It can wait. Her voice changed, got sharper. You should have told me. I worry about you. Does Kenneth know? My son Kenneth was on the road, driving his truck route through the Midwest. He wouldn't be back for another week. I'll tell him when he calls. Where exactly is Beatrice's house? I should have the address in case of emergency. I'll call you if I need anything. I have to go now, Shanice. Goodbye. I hung up before she could respond. 5 minutes later she called again. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Mom, this is weird. You're acting really weird. Call me back. I'm worried about you. Then the text started. Why won't you answer? Did I do something wrong? I'm just trying to help you. You're scaring me. Please call me back. Mom, please. I'm really worried. Following Alicia's advice, I blocked her number. Over the next week, Alicia worked with a private investigator and financial fraud specialists to build the case. They gathered evidence the legal way. The credit card companies provided copies of the original applications, showing my forged signature. They also provided IP address records showing the applications had been submitted from Shanice's home computer. The bank provided security footage from the branch where Shanice had opened the fraudulent joint account. The video clearly showed Shanice presenting identification and signing documents. Signing my name. A forensic handwriting expert named Leonard Price compared the forged signatures on all the documents to my real signature. His analysis was definitive. The signatures were forgeries, inconsistent with my natural handwriting patterns. The county clerk provided a copy of the attempted fraudulent deed transfer, complete with another forged signature. Cell phone tower records placed Shanice at the bank, at the car dealership, at stores where the stolen credit cards had been used. But they also discovered something even more disturbing. Shanice had been telling people I had dementia. She'd told the bank I was confused and needed help managing my affairs. She'd told credit card company representatives that I'd authorized her to handle my finances because I wasn't as sharp as I used to be. She'd told her friends. Investigators found text messages that I was getting forgetful and she was worried about Mom's memory. Alicia showed me all the evidence in her office. She was building a false narrative. Alicia explained. If you'd caught her stealing, she'd claim you have dementia and simply forgot that you'd authorized her. She was creating witnesses who would testify that you're incompetent. But I'm not incompetent. I know. That's why we had you evaluated. At Alicia's insistence, I'd undergone a comprehensive cognitive evaluation with a neuropsychologist. Tests for memory, reasoning, judgment, mental acuity. I'd passed everything with scores normal for my age. This evaluation proves you're completely competent. When we present this alongside the forged documents, it'll be clear she was lying about your mental state. What was her endgame? I asked. What was she planning to do? My guess? She was going to petition the court for guardianship. Claim you were incompetent and needed someone to manage your affairs. As your guardian, she'd have legal control over all your assets. Then she'd drain everything legally and there'd be nothing you could do about it. I felt cold. My own daughter-in-law, planning to steal my entire life. But she got impatient, Alicia continued. Opened the credit cards and loan before establishing guardianship. That's what's going to put her in prison. With all the legal evidence compiled, Alicia contacted Detective Morris Washington from the Durham Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit. He came to her office to review everything. Detective Washington was a black man about 48, with gray at his temples and the tired eyes of someone who'd seen too many people steal from their own families. Alicia walked him through the entire case, showing him every piece of evidence, everything except Bernard's footage. That stayed secret. This is one of the clearest elder fraud cases I've ever seen, Detective Washington said, reviewing the forged signatures. The handwriting analysis alone is damning, but combined with the IP records, the security footage, the cell tower data she's done, what about her claiming the victim has dementia? Alicia asked. Already handled. She showed him my cognitive evaluation results. Mrs. Hayes is completely competent. Perfect scores across the board. Detective Washington nodded approvingly. You've done my job for me. I'll get an arrest warrant today. The charges were serious. Identity theft, wire fraud, forgery, attempted grand larceny, financial exploitation of an elderly person. In North Carolina, financial exploitation of someone over 65 carried enhanced penalties. Shanice was looking at decades in prison. They arrested Shanice at her home the next morning. Kenneth called me immediately. Furious. Mom, what the hell? The police just arrested Shanice. They're saying she stole from you. She did steal from me, Kenneth. $70,000, opened credit cards in my name. Forged my signature on bank documents. That's impossible. Shanice would never. I have proof. Bank records, credit card statements, forensic handwriting analysis showing the signatures are forged. She said you asked her to help with your finances, that you were having trouble managing everything after Dad died. I never asked her for help, Kenneth. I'm not incompetent. I had a cognitive evaluation done by a neuropsychologist, passed with perfect scores. Silence. Why would she do this? His voice cracked. Greed. She saw me as vulnerable, a widow with money. Mom, there has to be a mistake. Maybe there's an explanation. Alicia got on the phone. Mr. Hayes, this is Alicia Montgomery, your mother's attorney. I'm going to email you copies of all the evidence. Review it carefully, then decide who you believe. She sent him everything. The forged signatures, the fraudulent credit card applications, the bank security footage showing Shanice opening the fake account, the attempted deed transfer, the cognitive evaluation proving I was competent. Kenneth called back 2 hours later. I could tell he'd been crying. I saw everything. The signatures are obviously not yours. And the footage of her at the bank. He trailed off. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I was on the road so much I had no idea what she was doing when I was gone. Did you know she was telling people I have dementia? What? No. She told me you were doing great. That she was helping you adjust to living alone but that you were handling everything fine. She was lying, Kenneth, building a false story so she could claim I'd authorized her to steal from me. He was quiet for a long moment. I brought her into our family. I married her. I trusted her with my own mother. You didn't know what she was capable of. What can I do? How can I fix this? Support the prosecution if they need you to testify. And Kenneth, you need to file for divorce. 3 months later, Shanice's trial began. Her lawyer was expensive, hired with money she didn't have. He tried to argue that I was elderly and confused, that I'd asked Shanice for help and then gotten angry and made false accusations, but the evidence buried that defense. Leonard Price, the forensic handwriting expert, testified first. These signatures on bank documents, credit card applications, and legal filings were definitively not written by Mrs. Dorothy Hayes. They are forgeries. Someone attempted to mimic her signature, but the letter formation, pressure patterns, and natural flow are inconsistent with her authenticated signatures. He showed the jury side-by-side comparisons. The differences were obvious even to untrained eyes. Bank employees testified that Shanice had come in alone to open the joint account, claiming to have power of attorney over my finances. She seemed very confident. The branch manager said, told us Mrs. Hayes was having memory issues and had asked her to help manage things. Credit card company representatives testified that applications had been submitted online from Shanice's IP address. They'd mailed the cards to the P.O. box she controlled. A financial analyst walked the jury through where the $70,000 had gone. Designer stores, car dealerships, cash withdrawals at ATMs near Shanice's home. Every dollar was spent by Miss Shanice Hayes. None of it went to Mrs. Dorothy Hayes's benefit. Then I testified. I never authorized my daughter-in-law to open credit cards in my name. Never asked for her help with finances. Never gave her permission to access my accounts or use my identity. I'm 68 years old, not 98. I've managed my own finances for 50 years. After my husband died, I continued to manage everything myself. Shanice photographed my credit cards without my knowledge, practiced forging my signature, opened accounts and spent $70,000 that she stole from me using my identity. Shanice's lawyer tried to suggest I was confused about what I'd authorized. But then the cognitive specialist testified. Dr. Helena Grant had administered my evaluation. She was unequivocal. I evaluated Mrs. Hayes using comprehensive neuropsychological testing. Her cognitive function is normal for her age. Excellent memory. Strong reasoning skills. Intact judgment. No signs whatsoever of dementia or cognitive impairment. In my professional opinion, Mrs. Hayes is fully competent to manage her own affairs. Kenneth testified against his own wife. It clearly destroyed him, but he did it. I'm a long-haul truck driver. I'm gone 3 weeks out of every month. I trusted Shanice to check on my mother while I was on the road. She never told me she was helping with finances. Never mentioned opening accounts or applying for credit cards. I had no idea any of this was happening. If she'd asked me, I would have said absolutely not. My mother is completely capable of handling her own money. The prosecutor showed the jury the text messages where Shanice had told friends I was getting forgetful. She was creating a false narrative. The prosecutor argued, building a story that Mrs. Hayes was incompetent so she could steal with impunity. If caught, she'd claim the victim simply forgot authorizing her. But Mrs. Hayes didn't forget, because she never authorized any of it. Every signature is forged. Every account is fraudulent. Every dollar stolen. Shanice took the stand in her own defense. Big mistake. She tried to claim I'd asked for her help managing finances after Thomas died, that I'd been overwhelmed and confused. The prosecutor destroyed her on cross-examination. Mrs. Hayes passed a comprehensive cognitive evaluation with perfect scores. Does that sound like someone who's confused? She seemed confused sometimes. When? Give me specific examples of times she seemed confused. Shanice couldn't. She stammered through vague generalities. You forged her signature on multiple documents, didn't you? She asked me to. There's no record of her asking you anything. No emails, no texts, no witnesses to any conversation where she authorized you. We talked in person, but you never told your husband, her son, that you were managing her finances. I didn't want to worry him. Or you didn't tell him because you knew it was fraud. Shanice had no answer. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. 2 weeks later came sentencing. I gave my victim impact statement. Standing at a podium facing Judge Christina Lawson, Shanice didn't just steal my money. She stole my trust, my peace of mind, my sense of safety in my own family. She targeted me because I'm a widow. Because my husband died 2 years ago and she thought I was vulnerable and alone. She tried to convince the world I had dementia so she could steal from me legally. She lied to banks, to credit card companies, to her own friends about my mental capacity. I want the maximum sentence. Not for revenge but to protect other elderly people from family members who see them as ATMs instead of human beings. Shanice's lawyer asked for leniency. Argued she was a young mother who'd made mistakes out of financial desperation. Judge Lawson wasn't swayed. Ms. Hayes, you committed a calculated, premeditated fraud against your elderly mother-in-law. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. This was systematic criminal activity over multiple months. You exploited her grief over her husband's death. You forged her signature repeatedly. You stole her identity. You attempted to steal the proceeds from the sale of her home. A home she'd lived in for 40 years. You tried to destroy her reputation by lying about her mental capacity. You manipulated institutions and people to facilitate your theft. The judge looked at Shanice with undisguised contempt. On the charge of identity theft, 5 years in state prison. On wire fraud, 10 years to run consecutively. On forgery, 5 years, consecutive. On financial exploitation of an elderly person, 7 years consecutive. Total sentence, 27 years in the North Carolina Department of Corrections. Shanice would be 62 years old when she got out. Additionally, you will pay restitution of $70,000 to Mrs. Dorothy Hayes, plus interest, court costs, and attorney fees. All assets purchased with stolen funds are hereby seized and will be liquidated to pay restitution. Shanice started crying then, begging the judge for mercy. But Judge Lawson had heard enough. You showed no mercy to a 68-year-old widow. You'll receive none from this court. Take her away. Kenneth filed for divorce the next day. He got full custody of their daughter Jasmine, who was 16 and horrified by what her mother had done. I can't believe Mom did that to Grandma. Jasmine told me when she came to visit at Beatrice's house. I'm so sorry. You have nothing to apologize for, sweetheart. You didn't do this, but she's my mom, and she's a criminal. She made terrible choices. That's on her, not you. Jasmine hugged me tight. I love you, Grandma, and I'm glad you're okay. 6 months after the trial, I moved into a new apartment. Different building. Fresh start. No memories of Shanice going through my things. I'd recovered financially. The restitution payments were coming in monthly. My credit had been repaired. The fraudulent accounts were closed and removed from my record. My relationship with Kenneth had healed slowly. He carried tremendous guilt, but I didn't blame him. You were working, I told him. You were on the road providing for your family. You trusted your wife. That's normal, but I should have seen. She fooled both of us. Kenneth, that's what con artists do. One afternoon, Bernard Shaw came to visit my new apartment. He brought flowers and looked nervous. How are you doing, Mrs. Hayes? Better. Safe. And it's Dorothy, Bernard. After everything, I think we can use first names. He smiled slightly. Dorothy, then, I've been worried about you. Did the footage cause problems legally? We never used it in court. My lawyer built the entire case using evidence gathered through legal means. Your footage just told us what crimes to look for. I'm so glad. I was terrified I'd made everything worse by recording without your consent. You saved my life, Bernard. If you hadn't seen that footage, I never would have known what Shanice was planning. She would have drained everything, probably gotten guardianship over me, and I'd have lost everything my husband and I worked for. What happened to the footage? Destroyed. My lawyer advised me to delete it once we had solid legal evidence. Too risky to keep. Bernard nodded. Good. I felt horrible about the privacy violation. You made a mistake leaving those cameras on, but that mistake saved me from financial ruin, and possibly worse. We sat quietly for a moment. I've disconnected all the cameras now, he said. Made sure the new building owners know there's no surveillance. I won't make that mistake again. Good. But Bernard, thank you. Whatever the legal complications, you did the right thing warning me. A year after everything happened, I found myself standing in front of 40 elderly people at a Durham senior center. I'd been invited to speak about financial exploitation, to tell my story and help others recognize the warning signs. I told them about Shanice, about how she'd seemed so helpful at first, how she'd gradually positioned herself as my caregiver even though I didn't need one. I left out the part about Bernard's illegal camera. That detail wasn't relevant to the lessons people needed to learn. My daughter-in-law stole my identity, opened credit cards in my name, forged my signature on bank documents and loan applications, all while pretending to help me adjust after my husband died. The warning signs were subtle at first. She was very interested in my finances, asked lots of questions about my assets, my accounts, my house. She volunteered to help with things I didn't need help with, made herself indispensable even when I was perfectly capable of managing on my own. She isolated me from other family, always being the one to check on mom so my son didn't feel he needed to. If someone in your family is suddenly very helpful with your finances, ask yourself why. Are they genuinely trying to help, or are they positioning themselves to steal? After my talk, an elderly man approached me. He was maybe 75, well-dressed, looking worried. "Mrs. Hayes, my nephew has been pressuring me to give him power of attorney. Says it's just to help with bills since I had a small stroke last year, but something feels wrong about it." I recognized that feeling, that instinct that something wasn't right. "Trust that feeling," I said. "Don't give anyone power of attorney unless you absolutely need it for medical or legal reasons. And if you do decide you need one, work with a lawyer you choose yourself. Make sure there are safeguards and oversight." "But he says I need help." Are you managing your bills okay?" "Well, yes. I mean, I'm a little slower, but I'm handling everything." "Then you don't need someone else to have legal control over your finances. If you want help, you can have someone assist you while you remain in control. That's different from giving them power of attorney." I gave him Alicia Montgomery's card. "Talk to this lawyer before you sign anything. She specializes in protecting seniors from financial exploitation." The man thanked me, relief visible on his face. This is why I told my story. If it saved even one person from what I went through, it was worth the embarrassment of admitting I'd almost been scammed by my own family. I'm Dorothy Hayes. I'm 69 years old now. A day after I moved into a new apartment, the previous building owner called me with urgent news. He'd forgotten to disconnect a security camera in my unit. He'd seen what my daughter-in-law did while I was away. That illegal footage showed Shanice photographing my credit cards, my driver's license, my social security card, going through my important documents, and photographing everything. Practicing my signature, trying to learn to forge it convincingly. We couldn't use the footage in court. It was recorded without my knowledge or consent, violating North Carolina's two-party consent law for surveillance. But it told us what crimes to investigate. My lawyer built a legal case using properly obtained evidence. Bank records, credit card applications, security footage from banks, cell phone records, handwriting analysis. We proved Shanice had stolen $70,000 by opening fraudulent accounts in my name, that she'd forged my signature on multiple documents, that she'd tried to steal $280,000 more from the sale of my house. She'd also been telling people I had dementia, building a false narrative so she could claim I'd authorized her theft. She's now serving 27 years in prison. And I learned 3 things that might save someone else from the same fate. First, I learned the warning signs that a family member is planning to exploit you, and why you can't dismiss your own suspicions. The signs were there if I'd been paying attention. Shanice was too interested in my finances. She asked detailed questions about my assets, my accounts, my house sale proceeds. She volunteered to help with things I could handle myself, positioning herself as my caregiver even though I was fully capable. She made sure she was always the one checking on me, creating a narrative that I needed constant supervision. She isolated me from other family members by always being there, making everyone else feel their involvement wasn't necessary. If someone in your family suddenly becomes very involved in your financial affairs, asking about accounts, offering to help manage money, requesting access to documents, ask yourself why. What's their motivation? Are they genuinely concerned? Or are they positioning themselves to steal? According to the National Council on Aging, family members commit 90% of elder financial abuse. It's not strangers we need to fear most. It's the people closest to us who see our assets as their inheritance and don't want to wait. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, investigate. Check your credit report for unauthorized accounts. Review your bank statements carefully. Make sure no one has filed legal documents in your name without your knowledge. Don't dismiss your own suspicions just because the person is family. In fact, be more vigilant with family, because they have the access and knowledge to steal effectively. Second, I learned why illegal surveillance evidence can't be used in court, but why it can still save your life by pointing you toward legal evidence. Bernard's camera footage was inadmissible. North Carolina law requires two-party consent for surveillance in private spaces. Recording me in my home without my knowledge was illegal. Even though Bernard hadn't meant to do it, if we tried to present that footage in court, it would have been thrown out. Bernard could have faced criminal charges. The case could have been dismissed, but the footage told us what to investigate legally. We knew to check for fraudulent credit cards, so we pulled my credit reports through proper legal channels. We knew to check for forged signatures, so we obtained official copies of applications and had them analyzed by experts. We knew to check for fraudulent legal filings, so we searched county records. Every crime the illegal footage revealed, we proved again using legal evidence. That's the key. Illegal evidence can't be used, but it can guide legal investigation. If you suspect someone is committing crimes against you, document your suspicions and hire professionals who know how to investigate properly. Don't try to gather evidence yourself through illegal means. It'll backfire. But do take your suspicions to a lawyer or police who can investigate through proper channels. Third, I learned how to protect yourself when you suspect family members are plotting to exploit you, and why immediate action is critical. The moment I learned what Shanice was doing, my lawyer told me to leave. Get away from her physically. Don't confront her, don't warn her. Just disappear. That was hard. I wanted to confront Shanice, demand explanations, get justice immediately. But my lawyer was right. Confronting her would have given her time to destroy evidence, create false documentation, or manipulate the situation further. By disappearing without warning, we preserved evidence and prevented her from doing more damage. If you suspect financial exploitation by a family member, take these steps immediately. Get away from them if possible. Stay with other family or friends they don't have easy access to. Don't tell them your suspicions. Don't give them warning. They'll use that time to cover their tracks. Hire an elder law attorney immediately. They know how to investigate financial exploitation and build legal cases. Get a cognitive evaluation if anyone is claiming you're incompetent. Document that you're mentally capable. Check your credit report for fraudulent accounts. Place fraud alerts with all 3 credit bureaus. Review all financial statements for unauthorized transactions. Search county records for any documents filed in your name. Change all passwords and PINs. Don't share them with anyone. If you've given someone power of attorney and now suspect abuse, revoke it immediately through proper legal channels. Time matters. The longer exploitation continues, the more damage is done and the harder it is to recover. If you or someone you love is experiencing elder financial exploitation by family members, comprehensive resources including elder law attorneys, adult protective services, and financial fraud specialists are listed in the description below. Choose vigilance over blind trust. Choose documentation over confrontation. Choose professional help over trying to handle it alone. Because I'm standing here today only because Bernard Shaw saw something wrong and warned me. Because my lawyer knew how to build a legal case despite illegally obtained evidence. Because I acted immediately, instead of hoping for the best. Shanice thought she'd get away with it. Thought I was too trusting, too old, too vulnerable to stop her. She was wrong, and she's now in prison for 27 years while I'm using my story to protect others. Thank you for listening. If this saves even one person from family financial exploitation, then what I went through meant something.